Right, so it's a lovely Friday afternoon here, and this is our £0 Volkswagen Golf Mark 4. Got it from some friends, gave it to us for free. It's looking pretty clean. We gave it a clean last weekend, including the alloys, so they're looking quite nice and fresh. And it runs pretty well. It's done 143,000 miles, and as such it's running a bit rough at the moment, a bit louder than we'd like, but hopefully get some lining under the bonnet for sound dampening, and hopefully with some of the stuff we're going to fix it'll sound a bit quieter. So here's the big haul. Ignore the bike cleaning stuff bottom corner. So quite a lot to do. Start with, we got the cabin filter and the air filter, all the fuel filter, oil filter, so full complement there. Temperature sensor's gone, the coolant output temperature sensor, so find where you can plug that in. Hopefully that will help the engine a bit. Replacement spark plugs, just the standard ones, and oil sump plug washer. And then hopefully going to do a full fluid replacement as well. So we got engine oil, coolant, concentrated coolant, gearbox oil, screen wash, and brake fluid, as well as power steering fluid. So give those all a refresh and we'll see how she goes. There we are, now to work. Alright, so here we are underneath the bonnet of the Golf, and the first job is to I've taken out the old air filter. There's just two simple screws and then levers off front here. I also cleaned inside. There's still a little bit of dirt, but a lot better than it was, as proven by the rag. And if we see around here, this is the old filter, so it's pretty dirty, and again I've wiped off some dirt already, but pretty dirty. So here's the new one, Bosch air filter, and there we go. Look at the difference. It's going to be going in. Actually, we can chuck that in right now. So all we have to do is lift up this, put it in that way round so it covers the edges there, and the air gets sucked in down there, comes up through the filter and then down there into the engine. So I'll just close that back up and that'll be the air filter done. Right, next thing we're doing is the Pollen filter, or the cabin air filter. What we had to do was just take out a few of these screws along here. I wasn't initially quite sure where it was, because in the Fiesta it's actually inside, down between, underneath the gear stick somewhere down there, but Volkswagen put it here. So yeah, took this out, lifted the rubber seal off, and it comes out fairly easily. So we're just gonna unclip and pull it off its frame. Right, there we go, just unclipped it, and then you can pull the frame out with the filter on it. Goodness me, that is, well, I don't know what to put that down to, but that is probably years of muck coming off there. Shows us doing its job. Then take it back here, and we've got the new Bosch filter there, so you just lift off the frame and slide the new one in. There we go, brand new. Alright, day two. Had some troubles yesterday with the fuel filter back there. One of the screws completely rusted on. But today we've just moved on to the engine oil, so here we are underneath the engine. This is the sump. I've taken out the sump plug and drained all the oil. Strangely, not very much in there, only about 2 litres, so the car seems to be running low on oil. I've also loosened the oil filter, just going to replace that at the same time, and that's just been dripping into here as well. So I'm going to take this off. There we go, there's the old oil filter. So here we are, there's the old oil filter out of the engine. Nice and black. So it suggests it's been there a long time. Got a new filter, Bosch one. And what you have to do for installation is just get a tad of oil, rub it round the ring here so it's well greased. And then just screw it on, hand tight, and job's a good one. Right, so new oil filters in place there. And I'm just going to re-put in the put the sump plug back. Put a new washer on there, all good. But first, just going to quickly wipe away any excess oil there. It will still be dripping out, that's normal. And then screw it back in by hand. And torque it up to 30 Newton meters with the torque wrench. Right, so that's the new engine oil in. Fill it up and let it turn over, get oil all the way through the engine, through the galleries and everything. The car definitely sounds quieter, maybe not from here, but there's not so much of a knocking noise now, so hopefully that'll be a bit better. We'll see. Anyway, that's the engine oil done. I'm just going to dipstick check the level, pull out dipstick, and hopefully she's good to go. On to the next. Right, so here on the front left hand side of the car, doing the gearbox oil now. You can see it just the remainings draining out. A little bit tricky to access because there was a panel in front of here, so I had to take that off. And then found the drain plug and the fill plug. Drain plug's underneath, that's coming out. Fill plug's where we're going to put it back into. So we'll see how this goes. Let it all drain out. Right, so here we are underneath the car again, doing the gearbox oil. It's all come out there. Actually, it looks like there's more gearbox oil than engine oil in this car before we did this, so rather strange. But basically, we're going to take the sump plug here for the gearbox. Try and thread it in. Gave it a little clean beforehand. And then we're going to torque it up to 25 Newton meters with the torque wrench. And then can fill. Right, so final little update for this session this weekend. We've done the gearbox oil. And there's the gearbox down there. The fill plug is behind this wheel here. I didn't film it, but basically used this 500ml oil suction pump to feed the gearbox oil in. Very handy. Did it in about 3 or 4 squirts, 3 or 4 tubefuls there. And the final thing we checked was the power steering fluid, and basically just flushed it through a few times with some new fluid. So hopefully most of that in there is new. Similarly, likewise, just open this up. Use the suction syringe there for pulling out the old fluid, topped it up, turned the engine on, moved the steering column so it gets fluid sent round, and then taken off the old fluid, put a new in, refresh a few times. So there, all in all, need to put the engine covers back on, but I'll leave that for another day. All in all, a good day for the Golf. Looking regal, there we go. Okay, so just a quick one for one of the parts that I had to replace or reorder because the wrong part arrived. So it's the engine coolant temperature. So the outlet of the coolant from the radiator comes through there, goes to the thermostat housing. Had to disconnect the battery first, of course, because it's a piece of electrics, and then simply just take this plug off and then pull out the clip, retaining clip, and then the temperature sensor, and you also want to grab the O-ring that was in there as well. So take those all out and then just stick the new one in. So O-ring goes back in, push that in there good, then the temperature sensor, new temperature sensor, go. Retaining clip. There we go. And then the plug back on the top. And we'll see whether it's worked. Alright, so latest update from the Golf. Today trying to change the spark plugs. Apologies for any road noise. Just managed to get all the HT leads off, all 4 of them. The first 2, one there and one there on either end, were pretty easy. But it was these little ones in the middle that were really hard to get to. But after using a bit of a screwdriver to slightly lift this one, a little bit of oil to loosen them up as well, it's got the spark plugs out, so that's good. And I'm going to use this contraption to unthread and rethread the new spark plugs. Universal joint there, a few quid, extension bar on a ratchet. So here we go, see how it goes. Right, so we've just got the first spark plug out on the left hand side of the engine. It's all worked fine. And there we go, you can see the old spark plug. It's got quite a lot of carbon build up on it. And then here's the new one, NGK spark plug. Looks nice and fresh. There we go. Carrying on. Right, so that's it. All 4 spark plugs are back in, and push the HT leads on. There you go, you can see at the bottom. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we'll give it a test fire and see how she turns over. Alright, quick update on the car. As you can see, we've got coolant coming out. Just had to remove a panel, undo the tap down there at the bottom of the radiator, open the expansion tank, engine's cold of course, let it all drain out, and then refill in a bit. See how it goes. Right, so final little video of this service of the Golf. Just a quick run through. Well, the last bit just finished topping up, well, flushing the coolant, opened the plug down there, flushed it through with some water, and then topped up in the expansion tank there. So that's all good to go, fresh coolant, and put the new brake fluid in here. Bled as many brakes as I could. Unfortunately the front right is stuck on, the nipple stuck, but did as much as we could. So the brake's feeling nice and firm. So the Golf is about ready now. Also just put on a new dipstick tube. I think that's what led to the low engine oil level before. The dipstick tube was in the wrong place, but now engine cover's back on and it's looking a lot better. So that's all the fluids done. Power steering fluid, coolant as we said, engine oil, brake fluid, gearbox fluids down there, and even topped up the windscreen washer for good measure. So a new battery and stuff as well. It's all good to go. Hopefully it'll pass its MOT.